welcome back to the Basement Gun Shop. I haven't been on in a while because, like many of you, I have been watching the events going on in Nevada. As far as I'm concerned, it was pretty much a watershed moment in modern American history. Two federal judges signed 2 court orders telling Bundy to get his cattle off the land. BLM sent a bunch of heavily armed men out to collect a debt, and the American people showed up. Fed blinked, BLM backed down, and that's the end of it, or so we'd like to think. I don't believe for 1 minute it's the end of it. You got Harry Reid making the rounds, screaming about Bundy doesn't pay his taxes, Bundy doesn't pay his grazing fees, Bundy's this, Bundy's that, Bundy's un-American, and Bundy supporters, and here comes the catchphrase of the Obama administration, are domestic terrorists. Bundy supporters are domestic terrorists. That's scary. Reminds me, unfortunately, of another term that people came to fear, and it was a catch-all excuse to burn people's homes and burn their businesses and do some really nasty things to them. 1930s Germany, enemy of the Reich. Kind of sounds like the same thing, enemy of the Reich, domestic terrorist. Before I continue, I want to be honest with you. This is the 3rd version of this video I've shot because when I got to this point, I launched off into a profanity-laced tirade screaming about Harry Reid and the nitwit in the White House and the vice nitwit in the White House and people behind them pulling their strings and just the traitorous behavior of this administration in Washington. And when I went back and watched them, I sounded like Chief Mark Kessler. And you know, when I first saw his videos, although I did not agree with the way he was saying it and what he was doing, I completely agreed with the sentiment behind it. You have John Kerry, who's a traitor, period, end of sentence. Go back and look at his congressional testimony during Vietnam. He's nothing but a coward and a traitor. There are things you just don't say about the men you serve with. You have a problem, fine, but you don't knife the guys who are right there with you in the back. Oh my God, where do you start with this administration and with what's going on? Now some leftist newspaper is printing supposedly racist comments that Cliven Bundy made. And everybody and their brother who went there to defend him now basically has to defend themselves because they're guilty by association. I've said in a number of videos that I am a member of Oath Keepers. I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, so help me God. That oath did not have an expiration date. And I am a member of Oath Keepers for that reason. Because of that oath I swore. And I like what the organization stands for. Since the Bundy Standoff has ended, I've seen several people on YouTube, one in particular, who was just lambasting Stuart Rhodes of Oath Keepers and Sheriff Mack of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, how they were just there for the PR and they weren't doing any good and they weren't doing this and they weren't doing that. Guys, shut your mouths. You're not doing anybody any good. In this political climate, we cannot afford to fight in and amongst ourselves. You know, fine, you have a personal issue with what someone's doing or what they don't do, keep it to yourself. Nobody gives a rat's ass anymore. The enemy is in D.C., not at the Bundy Ranch. Who cares if Sheriff Mack turned an appearance into a fundraiser? Organizations need money to run. You think web server space is cheap? You think storage space is cheap? You think getting an MX record or an A record is cheap? I got news for you. It's not. Digital certificates are $400 or $500 a pop. If you want to run a secure website, you need at least 2. And if he makes a little on the side for his trouble, I really don't care. Shut up. Make me want to puke. I have issues with Oath Keepers. They're my issues. My opinion differs from a lot of Oath Keepers. My opinion differs from Stuart Rhodes. But you know what? The man did it. He set up the organization. He founded it. He started it. And a number of other people who have been with him since the beginning. They don't draw a salary. That money comes out of their pocket. So what if they run a fundraiser here or there? Oh my God. My point is, there are too many enemies in D.C. for those of us on the right side of the fence to be fighting amongst ourselves. And one thing I do want to say that needs to be said, from the East Coast to every man and woman that went to the Bundy Ranch, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, you have no idea what a shot in the arm you gave the people out on this side of the country by showing up there, standing up for what was right and doing what you did. You have no idea how proud we are. That being said, let's move on. The label domestic terrorist, unfortunately, opens up a Pandora's box of punitive action the government can take. And granted, there are a lot of people out there toting stuff just like this saying, let them take it. But we've got a chance in November. And come November, I will vote. I will vote for the candidate that I believe is going to support and defend the Constitution of these United States. Not the Republican, not the Democrat, not the Independent, not the Tea Party Republican, the Constitutionalist. That is who I'm looking at, and that is who I will be looking into. And that is who I will be supporting. I strongly suggest you do the same thing. I don't care who it is. Ted Cruz ran Paul if they're senators from your specific areas, legislative districts, whatever. By all means, support those guys. You know, here in Pennsylvania, we've got a number of firearms laws on the books. They could be stronger, in my opinion. But we've got a number on the books protecting our state sovereignty, protecting our state right to keep and bear arms. And we've got a couple good legislators who are pushing those, pushing to stop anti-gun registration, pushing to stop the Fed from coming into Pennsylvania. Daryl Metcalf, Jerry Knowles, Dave Argel, you know, there's a bunch of other state senators and state representatives who are pushing for that. Unfortunately, we have to contend with the liberal scumbags out of Philadelphia and a liberal scumbag attorney general who's probably so far up Obama's. You get the drift. But we've been fortunate so far. If you're wondering what you can do, find a militia group in your area. Go, meet them, join them, train with them. Just in case. I got to tell you, I've truly got a bad feeling. I really do. I probably have said this before. I know I've said it to a bunch of friends in person. But unfortunately, I do believe we're on the road to the Second American Revolution. What is going to be the match? Wait, let me rephrase that. When the fuse is going to hit the powder keg, because I think the fuse is already lit. When the fuse hits the powder keg, or where, I don't know. 80% of the people in Connecticut refuse to register their guns. 80 to 90% of the people in New York State refuse to register theirs and turn in their high-cap magazines. The guys that showed up out in Clark County on Mr. Bundy's Ranch, I already said what I think of that. So you've got all these places where the fuse is lit. Maybe, if we can get some good politicians into Washington in November, take back the Senate and the Congress, we can get rid of that scumbag in the White House, and maybe get things started to getting back to the country we used to be. Maybe. I don't know. You know, for a long time it was said that there were 3 boxes in the governing of the American people. The soap box, the ballot box, and when those 2 have failed, the bullet box. Well, I got my bullet boxes. I pray to God they're not necessary, but I have them, and I will use them. It's also my firmly held belief that the amendments to the Constitution, specifically speaking the first and second, were written in that order for a reason. Freedom of religion, because religion, close ties with God, give a man the moral character and the moral strength to exercise the other part of the First Amendment, to speak out against tyranny. And to encourage and incite and hearten their fellow Americans to take action and vote. And when the electoral process has been so corrupted, or when the politicians in Washington forget who they serve. The President of the United States is considered, or at least before this one, was considered to be the most powerful man in the free world. But he is still subservient to we the people. That's me and you. We the people. And when a chief executive stands up there and says, I have a pen and a phone, I can do anything I want. I'm paraphrasing. He did say I have a pen and a phone. You know, if just look at some of the executive orders this POTUS has signed. Well, anyhow, when they forget who they serve, the First Amendment again comes into play with religion to give men the moral character and the moral strength to stand against tyranny and to speak out and incite their fellow Americans to take up arms against tyranny. What else do you need? They were put in that order for a reason, and I believe that. I've never really read any research that either verifies or contradicts that belief of mine. But when you read it, how can you not see it? When you read the order the amendments were written in, they had to feel that they needed to put them down in order of importance. Religion, speech, bullets, and guns. It's what made this country great. It is rumored that after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, Admiral Yamamoto whispered to one of his subordinates. His subordinate congratulated him on such a successful attack. And Yamamoto thanked his subordinate and said, "I fear we have awakened a sleeping giant." That sleeping giant was the fighting spirit and the will of the American people. 150 years before that, a bunch of farmers with pitchforks, sorry, I'm borrowing a line from a movie, a bunch of farmers stood up, grabbed their flintlock muskets and some small caliber rifles and went out and slapped the shit out of the most mighty army on the face of the planet, the British Redcoats. Up until that time, General Lord Cornwallis was considered to be the most brilliant military mind ever. All that brilliance could not save him from what happened at Yorktown. He hid in shame and allowed a subordinate to surrender his sword. Allowed a subordinate to surrender his sword. Well, that is the fighting spirit that Yamamoto feared. And that is exactly the fighting spirit that we saw out in Clark County. And it really does my heart good to know that spirit is still alive and well in these United States. I don't particularly want to see this country torn apart by a second American Revolution or a Civil War or whatever it turns out to be. I do believe it would be disastrous financially, emotionally, physically, industrially. It would be a disaster. But if it is to be war, and this administration is so determined on steering this American ship towards the iceberg, then I pray it comes now, while there is still strength in my body, so that my grandsons can grow up and live in a free country once again. All right, you sons of bitches, now you know how I feel. Patton. Great movie. So, I have been almost constantly on the phone or through email or text messages with friends who are watching, asking me if I wanted to pack my bags. Do you think we should go? Is this going to turn ugly? Fortunately, cooler heads prevailed. I saw some guy rant and raving that if you didn't go to Nevada, you weren't shit, you're a paper soldier, yada, yada, yada. Again, shut your mouth. No one wants to hear your frickin' opinion. Shut your pie hole. We can't afford to be fighting in and amongst ourselves. We need to stick together. You know, we must all fight together or we will surely hang separately. Forget who said that and when it was said. I'll remember it. It's somewhere in the mental warehouse. I got to do some spring cleaning up there for right now. So, that's about it. One other thing. If anybody knows where I can pick up a set of adjustable rear sights for a 1911 with a GI dovetail, oh God, please let me know. I got this 45 in for a trigger job and a general, well, I shouldn't say a trigger job, a general going over. The guy who owned it has had it for a very long time. This is a pre-1970 government model, and it's in extremely good to excellent condition. Well, anyhow, the sights were broken, and I've been trying to get them replaced for the guy who owns it. And every place I have gone has either said, we don't have them, they're not made anymore. I found one site that allowed me to order them, and all of a sudden I get an email from them saying, oh, we just went out of stock on that entire line. Bullshit, they never had any, they just forgot to update their website. And they don't have a date on when they'll get any new stock in. Oh, which brings up another point I want to mention. Merchants. If there are any merchants watching, I want to pose a question. If you are familiar with the Basement Gun Shop, you watch me build an AR on an 80% receiver from scratch. The whole thing. Including the mistakes with the wrong parts I ordered. And the fact that I didn't mill the receiver 3/1000ths too shallow. Or I milled the receiver 3/1000ths too shallow and had to cut it a little deeper to get the safety to fit over the hammer. Okay, fine. So, the online retailer that I ordered that receiver from is the same online retailer I ordered another one from just a few weeks ago. Now, the first receiver came via regular mail, express mail, I believe, in the, you know, the nice little 2-pound box. Okay, fine. In the mailbox, rock on, I got my 80% receiver. This one I just ordered came registered mail, and I had to go out to the post office and sign for it. Now, this is the part where I put my tinfoil hat on. Why did I have to go and sign for that receiver? I sent an email to the customer service department of that retailer, gunpartsplus.com, and asked them exactly the same question. A friend of mine at work said that he ordered one of their $600 AR kits with the 80% receiver, and he got an email from them saying that on that product they weren't accepting any new customers. Interesting. Wow. Okay, so here's an announcement. You heard it here first on Basement Gun Shop. It looks like I am one of the new staff writers, or I don't know, freelance writers for Pro Gun, an online website going live sometime. Stay tuned, I'll let you know when. Evidently, I submitted a article to them for consideration, and the reply I got back was, fantastic article. This is almost exactly what we're looking for. A couple things. Would you be interested in selling this article? How frequently would you be able to write more of these types of articles? And then it goes on to say some other stuff. Okay, so you heard it here first, yada, yada, yada. So, that being said, the friend of mine, I asked him to forward me that email today as soon as he got home. And I was just checking to see if I got it. He did not forward it. Because of that, I really shouldn't even mention it. Because, you know, I want to give you hard and cold facts. I don't want to give you supposition, hearsay, my friend's friend's cousin, brother's, aunt's, uncle's, sister's boy saw this. I don't want to give you that. I want to give you first-hand, hard and cold facts, straight up truth as I see it. But if indeed they did send him that letter saying they're not accepting new customers, kind of unusual for a reseller, and the fact that I had to go sign for this package that came registered mail, I have to ask, what's the difference between the first order and the second order? Well, time frame, and one event that I can think of. In between, Ares Armor was raided by BATF. These guys, Ares Armor. And yes, the day after they were raided by the BATF, I ordered a whole bunch of stuff from Ares Armor just so I could be on their customer list. So, what kind of a backroom deal did Gun Parts Plus make, if they did make one? Did BATF strong-arm them into giving up their customers list? Is my name on a secret watch list for buying an 80% AR-15 receiver? I'd like to know. I sent an email to Gun Parts Plus asking that exact question and have not received an answer. So, my message to the merchants who may be watching: we value our privacy. There is nothing illegal in what I do here. There isn't anything slightly to the in the gray area. I go to great pains, as I'm sure many other gun owners do, to make sure that they comply with the law. So, why do I have to sign for a package? To prove that I received it. I didn't request tracking, I didn't request special shipment, I didn't request anything like that on the package. If I inadvertently checked the box that said, I want this sent registered mail, I did it inadvertently, and I will be more than happy to say, my bad, in a later video. So, for the merchants watching, this is only one venue in which BATF and this scumbag administration is trying to put the screws to us, the free Americans, the ones who will not sit idly by and who will not comply. So if you're getting contacted or you're getting strong-armed by BATF, I suggest you go public with it right away and fight it the same way Ares Armor did. Because if they take down the dealers, what's left? If they make it too troublesome for someone to go into business and sell this type of product, and what beautiful products they are. That's my M1A back there on the bench. She's made an appearance once or twice on the Basement Gun Shop. This time she's out in response to Harry Reid just to say, "You're a goddamn liar." I think there's something wrong with him. Well, anyhow, for the merchants, you got to stand with us. Every turn of the way, fight them tooth and nail. Make them understand it is going to be costly. It is going to be a very costly war to wage. Because if it gets to us, as my friend Brian is fond of saying, if it gets to the physical layer, it will not be pretty. It will not be ugly. It will be asymmetrical, unconventional, and bloody as hell. So, you know, if you're getting strong-armed by the Fed, go public. Get to a lawyer. Do something about it. Don't just roll over, please. If there are law enforcement watching, remember your oath. You swore almost exactly the same oath that I did to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. The Tea Party, these militia groups, they are not domestic enemies or domestic terrorists, as Harry Reid would label us. They are not. I am not. But when the metal hits the meat, if that's what you're going to label me, then that's what you get. And there are many people out there with the same mindset. We don't want this. And it may scare the piss out of us, but we're not backing down anymore. Okay, now that's really it for this edition of the Basement Gun Shop. Enough preaching. I just wanted to get that out there. So I'm going to go take this into editing, and maybe this time I won't come down and shoot a fourth version of the video. So, until next time, I always encourage you, if you have comments or questions, leave them below, right down here in the comments. And until next time, stay free and keep shooting.